Finished the fall 2019 funnel analysis, so I thought it'd be a good time to do an update on how the whole product management thing is going. It's been, when was the last time I did an update? I think I did an update in June 26th. I think was the last day that I did an update on this, and today is October 24th or 25th. So it's been a few months, and we've done a lot of different features, and I've gotten a chance to get my hands a little bit dirtier with a few things. So I think I've already talked about productized feedback, but we did a couple big updates to the dashboards. We added a bookmarks feature so that people can go ahead and bookmark images, text, and video portions that they like from the content. We're doing a reskin on the member directory, and we're doing a reskin on the forums. So a lot of different feature things, and just been kind of learning the process and learning a little by little all the tech and everything that goes into building out these features. Honestly, like from a technical point of view, I can't think of anything specific that I learned other than on the flip side, what I realize is that a lot of this is just like getting the communication down and keeping a high cadence of communication between eng and product and design, and just making sure that everyone's on the same page. And I don't think I realized, it's almost like a project management role, but it's not really, because you also have to understand like what the users are going through. So it's not just about like trying to hit deadlines or trying to push everyone forward. It's like really understanding the product and what is best for the user, and then helping everyone get aligned to drive towards that goal. I also just completed the analysis, like I said, and this was kind of something that we've been working on, Dan and myself, for the last 3 or 4 weeks. This kind of analysis and working through Excel is definitely not my strong suit, so I really wanted to dig in and make sure I gave it enough time to give it my best shot. And overall, I feel pretty good about getting it all done. I feel like the analysis part of it, I did a pretty good job on. And the next step is turning it over to our head of marketing, Rick, for him to take a look at as well. So just kind of wanted to document this, and still figuring things out, still trying to get better and clear with my communication, which I think needs a lot of work, especially when we get into the technical bits. I think my communication gets really murky because I don't really quite know what I'm talking about yet. And gonna keep moving on. Yesterday I had a call with Dan, and we talked about our bookmarks feature, which we just launched. And it was actually a really interesting exercise, because the first thing that he asked me was, okay, we were looking at the dashboard of all the data that we had on the feature, and the first thing he asked was, what are the high-level takeaways that you get from looking at this data? And I started talking about the use of the bookmarks and how people were using the bookmarks, whether they whether they were using them for video or they were using them for images or text. I talked about the number of users who were using the bookmark, as well as the power users. And then he went and gave his take, and it was actually a very different take. He looked at different sets of data, and basically the questions that he wanted to answer were, how many people are using this? Do we think that is an appropriate number of people? And what are the buckets of people that are using this feature? And in order to do that, he looked at our weekly active users, our number of users using the bookmark on a weekly basis over the weekly active users viewing any content at all. And then he looked at the CDF chart or curve, I can't remember what it's called, cumulative distribution function, I think is what it's called. And using that, he's able to bucket people into low engaged, engaged, and highly engaged users. And essentially the summary that we came away with was that only 20% of our users are using the bookmark. Of those 20%, only 5 have returned to review the bookmarks, and 5 have returned to review the bookmarks. 20% have used the bookmarks. Only 5% have returned to look at the bookmarks dashboard to review their bookmarks. And then of the 20%, 2/3 have only bookmarked 3 times or less. And basically the conclusion we can draw from that is that not as many users as we would expect are using the bookmarks. So there's a lot of work there to be done in order to increase the number of people who use this feature, because we do think that by using this feature you'll be able to recall lessons better. So we think the bookmark features will help, and we want to drive more people to there because we think it'll help them apply the material back to their companies. And I just didn't really have a good way of answering his question before, and he really helped me to understand that and think about the next steps for this feature and what we need to do. So that was a great learning there, and I was glad we were able to walk through it, and just made me realize, like, man, there's so much meat from the retention engagement program, the retention engagement deep dive, that even though like I helped make the material, I helped set up the content and everything, I'm not necessarily able to apply it yet, and there's a lot of work that I can do to become a better product manager. And that means that there's a lot of learnings for other product managers to be able to implement, and the fact that I didn't remember that these lessons were here and I needed to apply these lessons to my work is basically what our participants are going through. So it's something that I need to think about.